And here's Hawk waiting for us at the entrance to his warden buddy's place.
Glad you made it. I just got here myself. My contact with the wardens should be at the back of the cave.
A group of wardens were protecting a villager from corpses out near Crestwood.
They were likely hunting my friend. I'm glad they didn't come looking for people to help in here. They might well be good men, but they've been given bad orders.
And there's previously a neat little distraction of encountering wardens, people whom we actually respect, but are in opposition to our goals. Throw in some ethical quandaries of being able to convince these people, and, oh yeah, we couldn't do that, but the potential was actually there. And what is this logo here? Does it represent an existing or past faction in this game? We also see this crest at the entrance to the cave on a very large banner, so it must be relevant. But whose is it? Were these caves occupied and now their immaculate large expensive crests can just stand the test of time? Were these actual smugglers? This is odd because these crests, banners, and use of wood are, well, large. They use expensive red vermilion or cadmium paint, and no, it's not people or animal blood or soylent red, as we must assume these things were constructed before all that. So how is this cloth and wood material so durable? How can they drill holes into the cave to put up these wooden walls? And are they using studs, if any? Why is the logo so big? This level of detail and the questions it raises on simple deliberation, representing a seemingly non-entity within the story, that is, the smugglers, feels misplaced. Having this crest of this design, type, and size makes the setting of the cave filled with fishermen's nets and archaic sculptures more confusing and less believable. Ask yourself this one simple question, minus all the confusing artifacts. Couldn't this scene just have been a cave?
My name is Stroud, and I'm at your service, Inquisitor.
And depending on how you played the first game, you could get Stroud, Alistair, or Loghain. They're all stand-ins for each other. Now, how three completely different characters conducting their own independent investigation end up in the same place and time is kind of far-fetched, but hey, you get some variation at least.
Most of you wardens disappear. Then I run into a darkspawn magister named Corypheus. Do you think that one might have something to do with the other?
I fear it is so. When my friend Hawk slew Corypheus, Weishaupt was happy to put the matter to rest. But an archdemon can survive wounds that seem fatal, and I feared Corypheus might possess the same power. My investigation uncovered clues, but no proof. Then, not long after, every warden in Orlais began to hear the calling.
Maker, why didn't you tell me?
It was a Grey Warden matter. I was bound by an oath of secrecy.
This is also an example of good pacing, but it's a touch contrived. One, we needed someone who knows about Corypheus. Boom, we found him in Hawk, instantly from Varric. Hawk had just so happened to have a friend in the Grey Wardens. Boom, here he is. And his investigations tell us that Corey might have the resurrection abilities of an archdemon, and that Corey may also have influence over the Warden's taint, causing them to think it's time for them to die. This is actually not a bad development, as it plays with the mortality of a bunch of heroes who know how they're going to die, because it's part of their person, part of their order. The player knows about this from this first game. It's a okay setup. It's kind of decent, and we can overlook the contrivance of how this scene came about.
Is the calling some sort of Grey Warden ritual?
The calling tells a warden that the Blight will soon claim him. Starts with dreams. Then come whispers in his head. The warden says his farewells and goes to the deep roads to meet his death in combat.
And every Grey Warden in Orlais is hearing that right now. They think they're dying.
Yes. Likely because of Corypheus. If the wardens fall, who will stand against the next Blight? It is our greatest fear.
So Corypheus isn't controlling them. He's bluffing them with this calling, and they're falling for it.
Now we know the scope of Corey's potential influence and the stakes for the Dragon Age world. A country's wardens could all be going on a suicidal run. This is essential plot building, provided our call to action soon after actually makes sense to it.
Is the calling they're hearing real? Or is Corypheus mimicking it somehow?
I know not. Even as a senior warden, I had heard only the vaguest whispers of Corypheus. The wardens believe that this calling is real, and they will act accordingly. That is all we know for certain.
You said all the Wardens are hearing the calling. Does that include you? And also you, Blackwall?
Sadly, yes. It lurks like a wolf in the shadows around a campfire. The creature that makes this music has never known the love of the Maker, but at times, I almost understand it.
So Stroud is either talking about Corey or whatever old god voice there is that is influencing the Wardens during their calling. It's a unique statement because Stroud's referring to his religious beliefs and how the voice is perceived to be sounding like a wolf amongst the campfire. Aside from positive vibes, what kind of love of the Maker he's referring to is unknown.
We must uncover what Corypheus has done and end it. This cannot stand.
I do not fear the calling. And worrying about it only gives it power. Anything Corypheus does will only strengthen my resolve.
Now that's strange considering this was a big deal for the Wardens, but I guess Blackwall's made of stronger stuff.
How can Corypheus make all these Wardens hear the calling?
I cannot say. We know little about him, save that he's dangerous. He's a Magister, as well as a Darkspawn, and speaks with the voice of the Blight. That lets him affect the minds of Wardens, since we are tied to the Blight ourselves. It must be how he created this false calling.
So the Wardens are making some last desperate attack on the Darkspawn.
We are the only ones who can slay archdemons. Without us, the next Blight will consume the world. Warden Commander Clarel spoke of a blood magic ritual to prevent future Blights before we all perished. When I protested the plan as madness, my own comrades turned on me. Grey Wardens are gathering here, in the western approach. It is an ancient Tevinter ritual tower. Meet me there, and we will find answers.
Not exactly an open forum for discussion within the Warden ranks, apparently, even with being a senior member. So instead of going after Clarel immediately, we're off to find an ancient Tevinter ritual tower where some Wardens are gathering. Are we going to gain them as allies? Are we slowly getting some Wardens onto our side? Is that the plan here? Do we know where Clarel even is? Why are we going there? Is it our only lead we've got? I mean, give us a reason here. Tell us why we're doing this. Stop going into irrelevant quest mode just because we finish a conversation. Tell us why we're going there. We also have to have the protagonist state their intentions. Why he wants to do this, and how, what. Don't make this another bloody nonsensical fetch quest. And it's another bloody and nonsensical fetch quest in another location we haven't seen before. Liara is foreboding.
This entire place, it just feels like something's not right.
So you prance around in a desert, and then find Stroud and Hawk.
I'm glad you made it, Inquisitor.
Well, I'm glad you waited for me. I'm kind of curious why we didn't go together and how you got here so fast, considering it's a desert, and it probably would have been safer to go together. Well, these are typical RPG questions, but you think Bioware would be moving the genre a bit forward here.
I fear they've already started the ritual.
And you couldn't walk in and tell them to stop? Maybe it's a smaller crowd who don't know you since the last meeting you had. You are a senior warden, right?
You take point. I'll guard your backs.
Well, that was awkward. Okay, why are you guarding our backs, Hawk? You've been standing there the entire time waiting for us. What's the strategy we've got going in here? Are you defending us from sand?
Remember your oath. In war, victory. In peace, vigilance. In death, I'm sorry. Sacrifice.
Okay, so a few wardens went into the middle of nowhere at some faraway Tevinter temple to kill themselves so they could summon demons. This was Clarel's order? If this is Clarel's order, she needs to be taken out, or the wardens need some serious reform. Wardens fight the blight, which includes demons. They don't summon them. How would any warden even slightly agree to any of this? Clearly this younger warden didn't, and here's where the story breaks apart. Mind control. Oh, how original, to completely undermine antagonists by giving them mind control powers. How did anyone go along with their evil plans? Why, they control people's minds with magic. Whereas using the calling was a subtle method of indirectly influencing the wardens, having literal control over others' minds makes these people come across as comic book characters. The wardens are now puppets, and this is all one giant farce. Imagine if these wardens were here of their own will. Imagine if the antagonist or sub-boss or whomever this guy is was here because he was really good at influencing others without magical assistance. Would this scene feel more or less believable and more or less dramatic?
Inquisitor, what an unexpected pleasure. Lord Livius Erimond of Virantium, at your service.
Holy Maker, what a smug son of a bitch.
And you found the Inquisitor and came to stop me. Shall we see how that goes?
Wardens, this man is lying to you. He serves an ancient of Intermagister who wants to unleash a blight.
That's a very serious accusation. Let's see what the Wardens think. Wardens, hands up. Hands down.
Corypheus has taken their minds.
And apparently 100% of the CPU as well. I guess without any trees, frostbite just bleh.
Even to Vinter.
I went to Clarel full of sympathy, and together we came up with a plan. Raise a demon army, march into the deep roads, and kill the old gods before they wake.
So you manipulated the Wardens to build an army of demons for Corypheus?
Just so. Sadly for the Wardens, the binding ritual I taught their mages has a side effect. They're now my master's slaves.
Oh great, so we can kill them indiscriminately. Thanks, story, for downplaying the Warden's existence and plight even further. Okay, so Corey wants a demon army. Well, considering his previous army didn't do so well against a bunch of guys with trebuchets on the mountains, just so he could rip off someone's arm, which he never did, I guess plan C to usurp the Wardens isn't that bad. But to conquer Thetis? That's a bit ambitious, although we know that's what happens in the future somehow, which is still hard to perceive, mostly due to the crown showing up at Redcliffe and being able to take care of Alexius easily.
This was a test. Once the rest of the Wardens complete the ritual, the army will conquer Thedas.
Do you really want to see the world fall to the Blight? What do you get out of this?
The Elder One commands the Blight. He is not commanded by it, like the mindless Darkspawn. The Blight is not unstoppable or uncontrollable. It is simply a tool.
He's a tool.
Okay then, Corypheus caused the Blight. He's essentially the guy who caused all the problems throughout all the ages. That's a pretty big revealing statement about the evils of our antagonist, and that all the major conflicts throughout all the games, or at least Origins, were caused by that guy.
As for me, while the Elder One rules from the Golden City, we, the Venatori, will be his god kings here in the world.
So Corypheus influenced the Wardens and made them do this ritual?
Made them? No! Everything you see here, the blood sacrifices to bind the demons, the Wardens did it of their own free will.
Okay, so they first did it under their own free will until they were mind-controlled and then became servants of Corey. This guy's not making too much sense here. What was the group threshold belief here? What was going to happen? Did they all sign up to get killed or to all be slaves? I mean, it's rather important considering he just revealed that fear was their reason to do all this, so if they were afraid, what are they afraid of? Death? Well, it can't be death if they're all actively giving their lives to this ritual that kills them or makes them their puppets, so what is he talking about here? What are they afraid of?
Fear is a very good motivator, and they were very afraid.
That's a lie. The Grey Wardens are heroes. They would never do this willingly.
The Grey Wardens care about nothing save stopping blights. They will do anything to accomplish that. You should have seen Clarel agonize over the decision. Burdens of command, I suppose.
Okay, wait a second here. Clarel and the other wardens were scared of a blight. Which blight? The next one? I thought the wardens were just going through their calling, unless they realized every warden was going to die really soon, and thus who would be around to stop the next blight. But aren't blights like hundreds of years apart within different ages? I mean, so if they're scared of all the wardens dying out very soon, how is this ritual of killing them off and summoning demons going to stop a blight from happening? What's the reasoning here? And how could anyone accept killing themselves for some ritual that summons demons?
Why would the Wardens try to kill the old gods?
A blight happens when Darkspawn find an old god and corrupt it into an archdemon. If someone fought through the deep roads and killed the old gods before they could be corrupted, woof, no more blights, ever. The Wardens sacrificed their lives and saved the world. Although I fear history will remember them a little differently now.
Okay, so their plan is to kill themselves so they can summon demons, so these demons can go into the deep roads, somehow bypass or defeat the Darkspawn, find the sleeping old gods somehow, and then somehow kill them if that's even possible before the Darkspawn taint them. Wow. What? Who? Let's keep in mind we have no idea how the Darkspawn taint the old gods, or what the old gods are, or how they transform into an archdemon dragon. How could anyone find this a reasonable option? I have no idea. You'd think Clarel would just make a time capsule of all things secret and relevant that relate to the Wardens. Give one to Orlais and the other to Ferelden, and instruct them on how to fight archdemons. But no. We're going to stop the blight before it happens by killing gods. But first, we have to kill ourselves. What? Like, what? This is another prime example of Bioware having a great premise, or at least a decent premise, and just, I don't know, like dropping the ball and having the ball shatter in like a million pieces and going, oh yeah, we could still work with this.
Why would Clarel risk using demons?
Demons need no food, no rest, no healing. Once bound, they will never retreat, never question orders. They are the perfect army to fight through the deep roads. Or across Orlais. Now they are bound to my master.
What asinine thinking is this? If the calling makes wardens want to go into the deep roads to die, why not bring every warden into the deep roads to go kill some old god or something? How big is this deep road? To go to the center of the bloody earth? Maybe they can find some ritual with demons if they want, but not at the expense of their lives, if they're serious about using demons for some reason because they're more efficient or whatever. But demons are indestructible, considering we kill them all the time? I mean, when was this? Okay, but what if none of this even works? You'll just get a lot of dead wardens and potentially demons running around. So Choir Boy here thinks he can control you. You show him he can't by doing one of your green hand gesture of closing rifts, which is the only one you've got, which makes him roll over for some reason. And then we fight some demons with the wardens, and they die.
They refused to listen to reason.
You were correct. Through their ritual, the mages are slaves to Corypheus.
Of course. Sacrificed in the ritual. What a waste.
Human sacrifice? Demon summoning? Who looks at this and thinks it's a good idea?
Great. I'm glad our protagonist at least mentioned how crazy this all sounds.
The fearful and the foolish.
The Wardens were wrong, Hawk, but they had their reasons.
Everyone has a story they tell themselves to justify bad decisions. And it never matters.
There's an abandoned Warden fortress that way. Adamant.
So there's another place wardens are gathering. Okay, great. I'm not quite following this logic that Stroud is using here. So he just said there's another place in this region where wardens are. Okay, is this our next lead? Was this our previous lead? Was this our plan B? Why didn't they all come here? Why didn't they all come there? Why are we going there now? I mean, can anyone tell me when we're going to get after Clarel? Isn't that what we're really after here?
The Warden and I will scout out Adamant and confirm that the other Wardens are there.
Wait, Hawk, isn't that the guy standing right next to you named Stroud? Oh, it's just that stock message, considering it could be Stroud, Alistair, Logain. I'm going with the Warden. Yeah, okay, Hawk.
We'll meet you back at Skyhold.
And again, why are you going? What are you going to do there? Don't you need my help? We just did this big battle. You seem to need me there. And why would you walk all the way back to Skyhold? Why don't I just come with you? Do we need more magical power points to open doors again? I don't think I have the capacity to extend my apothecary business to the middle of the desert. Okay, I guess you guys are just going to do whatever you want then, it seems. So, guys, can you tell me what's going on before you go? What's the plot again? Why are we doing this?